The storm over Kethra was made of light. Not lightning light itself, torn into ribbons and braided through a sky crowded with broken moons. Each fragment glittered like teeth in the dark, and every time the auroral storm rolled and cracked, the fragments sang to one another in a thin crystal hum that made human inner ears complain. Captain Elias Ward just squinted through his helmet, visor, and muttered, Yeah, beautiful, definitely not ominous at all." He trudged along the black glass ridge, boots gripping the jagged volcanic surface. Beneath the thin crust of fused sand, a slow ocean of lavender lava pulsed like a heartbeat. The gravity was a touch lighter than Earth's, but just heavy enough that a wrong step still meant broken bones instead of a graceful hop. Elias checked his wrist omni. Green mission timer. Blue beacon arrow. No red warnings. Good. Recon Team Theta 3, crackled the voice of Commander Ree in his ear. You are to sweep Sector Delta 9 for biosignatures and tech trace. Priority is the crashed raider frigate. No heroics. Tag, bag, evac. Copy. Elias smirked. Copy that, Commander. No heroics. Scout and scoot. Ward, she added, we're guests in Keth Protectorate space. Try not to start a diplomatic incident with the locals this time. That was one bar fight, he said. And it was mostly a misunderstanding. You broke a noble's jaw. He headbutted my fist. The channel clicked off, mercifully. Elias glanced behind him. Two Kethroni soldiers padded across the ridge, moving with a feline grace that made him feel like a drunken refrigerator in comparison. Their armor was grown, not forged white chitin shot through with faint bioluminescent veins, curling into decorative flares at the shoulders. Sergeant Tavir, the eld of two, raised crested brow. His slate-gray skin and crown of identical, bony ridges framed eyes like polished gold coins. You talk much. Human. Correct, Elias said. It's how we cope with cosmic horror. The younger Kethrani, Lyra, fought a smile and lost. Her ridges were smaller, still thickening with age. Faint silver tattoos ran down her throat and disappeared under her armor. She clutched a staff weapon taller than she was, its head swirling with trapped plasma. We don't know if your car sniffed. We are the heirs of Keth. A tremor rippled underfoot. Elias automatically shifted his stance. Sure, he said. Heirs of Keth. Still gotta watch your step. Air boy, the mission was simple. Locate the wreckage of a pirate frigate that had been raiding Protectorate convoys. Confirm all hostiles neutralized by the initial Keth strike. Tag any sensitive tech for retrieval. Then go back to the human Keth joint outpost and pretend the Alliance was. Stable, easy, clean, contained. The kind of mission that never stayed that way around humans. They topped the ridge. The canyon below was a wound in the planet sheer walls of black, glass plunging down into violet haze. At the bottom lay the gutted husk of the raider frigate, half melted by plasma bombardment. It looked like some colossal animal had tried to claw its way out of the molten rock and died mid-scream. There, Tavir said, the pirates are ash. The Keth armada is most thorough. Yeah, Elias murmured, zooming his visor in. Except our sensors picked up a life sign. One, faint but persistent. Residual echo, Tavir said. Or vermin. Or a survivor. Lyra shifted, ridges flattening uneasily. Would pirates not have been taken as prisoners, if any remained? Official story says no one survived, Elias said, but sensors don't lie. People no. He started down the narrow switchback path carved in the glass, jetpack dormant. The canyon walls were too unstable for thrust. His boot scraped and slid on the obsidian. What are you hoping to find? Human, Tavir called after him. A chance for your heroics. Elias didn't answer. He just followed the beacon deeper, toward the wreck and whatever refused to die inside it. The heat at the bottom of the canyon was a physical weight, like someone pressing hot hands against Elias's suit. The air shimmered. Pockets of rising vapor smelled vaguely metallic and sweet. The raider frigate had folded in on itself, decks pancaked and twisted. A Keth plasma lance had speared straight through the midsection, leaving a cavern of slagged corridors and half-melted bulkheads. It was the architectural equivalent of a scream frozen in midair. Biosignature located, the Omni chimed, overlaying a blinking dot on his visor. 10 meters. 9. He ducked under a drooping beam, his gloved hand steadying it as he slid past. Tavir and Lyra followed, weapons ready. They emerged into what had once been a cargo hold. The floor was a pool of hardened glass, cooled into ripples. Chunks of strange machinery jutted from the walls, fused into unrecognizable sculptures. And in the center, partly encased in pearlescent resin, lay the survivor. She was Kethroni, but unlike Tavir and Lyra's martial grace, there was something delicate about her form. Her armor was ceremonial rather than practical smooth plates of pale ivory edged, with thread-like inscriptions that caught the light and refracted it into spectral arcs. Her ridges formed a crown swept back like living petals, and where Tavir's eyes gleamed metallic. Hers shimmered in layers gold over amethyst, amethyst over black. They were unfocused now, barely open. Resin sealed her legs and one arm to the floor, like amber trapping an insect. Fractured energy fields sputtered around her, repairing what they could, failing at the rest. Elias's Omni beeped danger red. Severe neural trauma intelligence, fresh crea shock. It's organisted. She is Keth nobility, Lyra whispered. Look at her crest markings. And that armor it is priestess work. Tavir's jaw tightened. This is unclean. Perhaps the pirates were transporting her, or using her. Alive is alive, Elias said. Help me get her out. Tavir didn't move. Our orders are clear. Confirm no surviving raiders. This does not concern us. Elias turned, slowly. She's Keth. Your people. Tavir's gaze flicked to the woman, then away. If she is here, she is disgraced. A political exile, a traitor. Or worse, there is a reason the Admiral's report spoke of no survivors. Some things are erased. Lyra swallowed. Tavir, the alliance is fragile. Tavir snapped. We do not meddle in protectorate. Purges. This world is a grave human. We confirm. We leave. Elias looked down at the woman again. Her gaze, glassy as it was, flickered to meet his. For a heartbeat, he saw nothing but pain and the animal fear of being left alone to die. Something raw, honest. He'd seen that look on human faces, in burned-out cities and ruined ships. It connected across species, straight into his ribs. Hey, he said softly, switching to external speakers. You with me? Her lips moved. A thread of sound escaped harsh consonants of Keth, broken. Lyra stepped closer, leaning in. She says, The fire took everything. She says, Do not give me to them. Who's them? Elias almost asked. Then he remembered the phrasing in the mission brief. Keth Protectorate internal matter. Human forces to observe only. Something rotten. Tavir, he said, calm but edged. Call the shuttle. We're bringing her up. Human medbay, not Keth. We can argue politics afterward. Tavir's eyes hardened. We will not interfere with Protectorate justice. If the Admiral wanted a survivor, she would have taken one. She did, Elias said. The wrong kind. He dug his boots in beside the resin, braced both hands, and began to pry. His suit servos whined. The stuff cracked reluctantly, like tearing glass. Ward, Tavir growled. You defy direct strategic intent. Strategic intent can kiss my ass, Elias grunted. I'm not leaving. Her here to melt. Lyra's jaw worked. Then she thumped the butt of her staff on the ground and moved to the other side, driving the energized tip into the resin. It hissed and flaked away. "Lyra," Tavir barked. "She is Keth," Lyra said tightly. "We do not abandon our wounded. Or has the Protectorate forgotten that as well?" The resin, finally, tore free with a brittle shriek, and the woman gasped as sensation returned. Her free hand clutched Elias's forearm with surprising strength. Her fingers were cool through the suit, but something else slid along his nerves like static, or a whispered thought that wasn't his. "Not alone," she breathed into his mind. The words weren't quite words, but his brain translated anyway. "Not again." Elias blinked, heart thudding. "Okay, that's new." Her grip loosened. Her head fell back. He scooped her up, ignoring the protesting servos. She weighed little more than a human woman, lighter bones, different muscle distribution. But the psychic echo of her pain made her feel heavy in a way no mech could lift. "We're taking her," he said, voice brooking no argument. Tavir stared at him for 5 long seconds, then turned away in disgust. "I will report this disobedience. Human." "Get in line," Elias said. "I've got a collection already." Human medbay smelled like antiseptic, ionized air, and bad coffee. Some things never changed. Even 300 years from Earth, the Joint Outpost Orbiting Station. Bridgepoint hung in high geosynchronous orbit over Kethra. A skeletal ring threaded with human metal and Keth organic architecture grown together like two very different trees forced into the same soil. In the medbay's central pod, the rescued woman lay in a suspension field, machines whining softly around her. Holographic readouts scrolled above, alien organs, irregular neural net. Faint psychic emissions that made the monitors occasionally glitch. Dr. Merakan, all sharp cheekbone sarcasm, stood beside Elias with a stylus between her teeth. "So," she said, "you found the one thing the mission report said you absolutely warranty supposed to find." "Technically," the mission report said, "don't engage in unsanctioned retrievals," Elias said. "This was a sanctioned retrieval by me. You're impossible," Mira muttered. "But charming. Debatable." She tapped a display. "The good news," she's stabilizing. Whatever bioresin they used started an auto-healing cascade. Very advanced biotech, almost like ritual medicine. Not just clinical. Ritual, Elias repeated. He remembered the faint whisper in his mind. The impression of fire and loss, of being hidden in amber like a relic. "What's the bad news?" "Mirasiged." Her neural patterns are non-standard, even for Kethrani. There are layered pathways that look like deliberate psychic modification, not just natural talent. Someone built something in her mind. For what? Best guess, a weapon. Or a key. The medbay doors hissed open. Admiral Seret, tall even for a Kethrani. Her armor looked like a storm cloud carved into plate stock, iridescent, edged with faint blue energy. Her crest ridges were adorned with polished bone rings, each representing a victory or political bond. To Keth honor guards flanked her. Tavir was one of them, jaw tight. Elias straightened. Mira didn't bother. "Admiral," he said. "Human," she replied coolly. Her gaze slid past him to the unconscious woman. For one heartbeat, something sharp and almost personal flickered across her face, contempt mixed with fear. Then it was gone, buried under rigid protocol. "This station is Keth Protectorate Sovereign Space," Seret said. "You have interfered in an internal judicial purge by retrieving that créature." "That creature is Keth," Elias said, careful but firm. "And according to Alliance Charter, Clause 14, any sapient in medical distress can claim sanctuary under human care pending joint review." Mira raised an eyebrow at him. "You actually read the charter. Long trip from Earth," he murmured. Seret's eyes narrowed. You would quote your paper shields at me, human. Paper shields kept your convoys supplied for the last 6 months, Elias said. And I've watched enough people burn to know when someone is being erased for convenience. Tavir stiffened but stayed silent. Saari regarded Elias like one might regard a curious fungus. That woman is a heretic. She violated sacred constraints, meddled with the heart relays, endangered our entire star web. She chose pirates over the Protectorate. The medbay monitors flickered again, as if reacting to the tension. What are heart relays? Elias asked. Seret's mouth tightened. Classified. Funny, Mira said lightly. You're not wearing a classified badge on your chest. I just see a lot of bones bristled. Ewen steel. You will surrender the heretic to my custody, Saari said. Now, Elias looked at the unconscious woman, at the faint shimmering field around her skull, at the tiny frown lines at the corners of her closed eyes. He thought of that whisper in his mind. Not alone, not again. No, he said. The room went very quiet. Excuse me. Seret's tone could have blistered hull plating. No, Elias repeated. Not until an independent joint tribunal reviews her case. That's in the charter too. If she's as dangerous as you say, we need information. If she's not, then you're executing a political inconvenience. Either way, handing her over limp and half-healed would be. How do you say this in Keth? Cowardice, Lyra, standing just outside the door, inhaled sharply. Seret's crest flared, ridges glowing faintly. You forget yourself, human. Your species is a newcomer. You live because the Protectorate permits your colonies beyond the rim. Do not mistake tolerance for equality. Elias stepped closer, not quite in her space, but enough that he had to tilt his head up to meet her gaze. Humans don't do permit very well, Admiral. We do bleed and bite until we survive. If you want her, he nodded at the woman, you'll have to go through me. This station's human security contingent, and the Alliance Charter. Good luck. Saari studied him for a long, dangerous moment. Then, slowly, she smiled. It wasn't pleasant. Very well, Captain Ward. Keep your charity case. I will have what I need soon enough from another source. But understand this, you are now part of this heresy. When she burns, so will you. She turned in a swirl of black armor and left with her guards. Lyra lingered a second, meeting Elias's gaze. Her eyes were conflicted. You should not have done that, she whispered. But, thank you for disobeying your admiral, Elias said, for being human, she replied, and then she was gone too. Mira exhaled. You just picked a fight with one of the most powerful people in this sector over a stranger we know nothing about. Elias watched the woman in the field, the way her chest rose and fell. Yeah, he said softly. Feels about right. The woman woke during the artificial night cycle, when the station lights dimmed and only the stars outside remained bright. Elias was half asleep in the chair beside her pod, boots propped on a med cart, when he felt the featherlight brush against his thoughts. Not words, not images, but awareness. He sat up. Her eyes were open, reflecting the monitor's glow. Up close, he could see tiny fractures in some of her crest ridges, sealed with fine silver inlay Mira had applied. Her gaze tracked him, wary but lucid. Hey, he said quietly. Welcome back. Human, she said. Her voice was husky, as if unused. Her accent twisted standard into something melodic. You are loud. Even when you do not speak. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said about my brain, he said. I'm Elias, Captain Elias Ward. You're on Bridgepoint Station. You nearly got cooked on Kethra. She blinked slowly, tasting the words. Bridgepoint? She repeated, the mixed stone station between fires. That's one way to put it. He leaned forward, elbows on knees. What do I call you? A shadow crossed her face. Nambind. The Protectorate took mine when they exiled me. Elias shrugged. They don't get to own everything. Pick a new one if you like. Humans do it all the time. Reinvention is kind of our thing. She considered this. Her gaze flicked to the viewport, where Kethra's shattered moons glowed. Kethran legend says the first Skywalker stole fire from the stars and brought it down on her back. She murmured. They named her Saari, the one who carries. The Protectorate used the name as a curse. I would. Reclaim it. Saari. Then Elias said, Nice to meet you, properly. He offered his hand, wiggling his fingers. She stared at it like it was some exotic appendage, then slowly placed her own against his. Her skin was cooler than human baseline, faintly textured, like very fine stone. The contact deepened, the mental whisper to something clearer. For a moment, Elias Sono felt a dizzying lattice of light, like nerves mapped across a starfield. Endless threads pulsing in colors he didn't have names for, connecting Keth worlds, ships, minds. Then the image snapped away, leaving him breathless. What was that? Easked. Saari's expression softened with something like guilt. I brushed your surface thoughts. I did not mean to push deeper. Your pattern is bright, untamed. She frowned. Your people are not woven into a star web. Yet you shine. Humans are messy, Elias said. We burn hot. We break things. We also fix them. Sometimes. Her gaze searched his face. Why did you pull me from the fire, Elias Ward? Because you were there, esse sump. And no one else was going to. That is not logical. I am a stranger. I have no political value. I am condemned by my own people. Logic's overrated, he said. Besides, your admiral seemed real, keen on making sure you stayed dead. That kind of enthusiasm usually means there's more to the story. Saari's lips curved, faintly amused. You are suspicious. Occupational hazard. He hesitated, then decided to push. Saari, what did you do? Why does the Protectorate want you erased? She looked away, crest dimming. The monitors flickered again, reacting to a spike in her neural emissions. I was a weaver, she said at last. One of the few allowed to touch the heart relays, the psychic lattice that binds our worlds. We ride the currents between stars, guiding fleets, healing minds damaged in war. That sounds like a good thing, Elias said. It was, she whispered. Until I touched a relay near the front and felt, screaming. Not from our enemies, but from our own, a world being scoured. Not a battle, an erasure. Elias's stomach tightened. War crimes, she nodded, eyes bright with remembered horror. The Protectorate culls deviant worlds. Those that question the Council, those that refuse conscription, they call it pruning the starweb to keep it strong. I called it what it was, mass murder, and the pirates, I fled. I used the heart relays to broadcast the truth. But the relays are limited by range. I needed carriers beyond the official routes, smugglers, raiders, anyone who would listen. Premier traded map psychic navigator. Some were better, but all were hunted. The Protectorate framed me as a traitor colluding with raiders, easier than admitting. Rot. Her voice shook. I tried to warn them, Elias. I tried to show them the screams. They called me mad. They shattered my crest, cut me from the starweb, sentenced me to purging on Kethra. A symbolic grave for a symbolic heretic. Elias sat back, exhaling slowly. Okay, so I didn't just rescue a random stranger. I rescued the most wanted whistleblower in the sector. Saari blinked. Whistle-blower. Human idiom, he said. Means person shouting the ugly truth while everyone else plugs their ears. She tilted her head. Yes, that is accurate. The door hissed open, and Mira stuck her head in. You're awake, she told Saari, then glared at Elias. And you're still here. You need sleep, Captain. I was bonding, he protested. We were sharing trauma. Saari's eyes crinkled. He is very loud, Doctor. Mira snorted. You have no idea. Saari, your neural readings are stabilizing, but there's something else. The psychic enhancements in your cortex, they're not just for using the relays. They're tuned. Of course, Saari said. Weavers are woven into a ritual. We do not just use the star web. We become part of it. What ritual? Elias asked. Saari hesitated. Keth do not share sacred rites with outsiders. Outsider saved your life, he pointed out. Outsider is currently painted as co-heretic by your Admiral Bone Jewelry. If there's a ritual that can help us expose what the Protectorate's doing, maybe we use it. She studied him for a long moment, something weighing behind her eyes. Human minds burn quickly, she murmured. You are not built for this. But perhaps that is what we need. She beckoned him closer. Give me your hand again, Elias Ward. Mira crossed her arms. If his brain melts out his ears. I'm telling Command it was his idea. I've got a spare, Elias said. And placed his hand in Saari's. This time, she clasped it with both of hers, crest ridges glowing faintly. She began to hum a complex, layered sound that resonated in his bones. The medbay lights dimmed inexplicably. This is a binding weave, she said softly. We thread our minds together so we do not drift apart in the currents. It is used for battle, coordination, deep healing, and for bearing burdens no single mind should carry. Elias swallowed. You sure I'm invite material? You chose to carry me from the fire, Saari said. You are already bearing my fate. Let me share the weight. The hum built into a chord. His vision blurred. He felt not physically, but somehow thin filaments extending from Saari's fingertips, slipping into his skin, his nerves, his thoughts. For a terrifying instant, he was certain he would be unmade. Then the filaments settled, not as shackles but as threads in a shared tapestry. He saw flashes, Keth homeworlds like glass blossoms in orbit around pale suns, fleets crossing corridors of living light. Their heart relays pulsing like beating hearts in deep space. He also felt Saari's fear, her stubbornness, her lonely hope. In response, she felt his memories, the ruined cities of the human expansion war. The broken bodies in collapsed habitats, his promise to himself to never walk away when someone could still be saved. They both gasped and clutched tighter. The hum faded. The medbay lights flickered back to normal. Elias blinked, heart hammering. Okay, he rasped. That was a lot. Saari smiled, a real one this time, tired but luminous. We are woven, now. A small star web of two. If they sever me again, you will feel it. If they hunt you, I will know. That's slightly creepy, he said. Also kind of comforting. We will need this link, she said. To survive what comes. The Protectorate will not ignore our threads. Mira cleared her throat. Well, congratulations. You're psychically bonded. At least wait a few dates before you elope, yeah? Elias and Saari looked at each other. Is this a mating ritual for humans? Saari asked. Elias laughed, tension breaking. Not yet. But I'm open to cultural exchange. Her crest flushed a faint iridescent, violet Catherine equivalent of a blush, Mira had explained. Saari looked away, but the thread between them vibrated with shy amusement. Outside the viewport, Kethra's shattered moon shimmered. Somewhere in that broken sky, an admiral was making plans.